above you. After all, I'm fated to deal with your damn devil. A weakling like you is never going to satisfy me. Sorry for the wait, but now you die. As out of nowhere, never having shown any hint of such an ability before, the God Killer would then blast out instantly.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
A blood red laser straight out of his forehead. Its speed so fast, it would already be leaving the panel. As even with Krimra's fast instincts detecting it immediately, the beam with its insane speed would still already have closed the entire distance. As alarmingly, it wouldn't seem like the demonic god had time to dodge at all. What? And once we would get a full-on side view, the depth of how far the God Killer's laser beam went would be seen. Running right through his body like an X-ray, it would seem like the scene had almost frozen. No! 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 As in what would only seem like a dream sequence after their near-equal battle only moments ago, in a gush of blood, the unthinkable would be seen, as Krimra's entire body, the body of a demon god, would be sliced clean in half, separating in slow motion, all before the eyes of the shocked into disbelief, fused Emperor. Our body! But when the demon would visually watch as his lower half would fall to the ground, a hunk of butcher meat, the seriousness of the situation and the reality would all come crashing down with it. Leaving the once cold-faced demon to break out into a frenzy of anger, shock, and pure adrenaline as his yells almost eardrum bursting voice, his mouth wide open, unable to take them off his severed legs. Even his throat would begin letting out blood for the internal damage he had just suffered.
I've been watching the series for like
would continue to leak all over the ground, with his voice breaking, his breaths getting deeper, even as his eyes would fix, begin to raise his head to look back at Vegito and
Nobody but me, Grimrock!
As shocking, when Krimra would look back at Vegito, all he would see and sense is the Omni King himself, Lucid. His wide, evil presence overpowering. Be unclear, this was just an illusion, or Krimra hallucinating from his bloodline. What he would see would be true to him. Whatever power just went through him like a nut through butter. There was no power just the simple mortal. As with Grimra's fate now shuddering in fear, he would mutter out one final time. Just who are you? And in his final resort, an unsightly scene for such a powerful demon, Grimra, the supposed demon god, would be forced to turn around and immediately fly off far into the sky, with just half his body and all leaving a rain of blood. As with true fear in his eyes, the creature of evil run from one far more demonic than he could ever be. All the while Vegeta, with his red wings flat in the background, make no move to stop him. And indeed, even as Grimra's trajectory will change far above, potentially to even lead the sector in time, the Angel of Death, Vegito, would calmly just watch below as if he were at the races. As an iconic laughter would be let out, his arms folded, Vegito would whisper, "As I told you, Yamoki, again, all who witness my power will eventually run, demon or not. Run as far as you like, Grimra. Your fate is already sealed."
It's great writing.
But now, at top speed, the demon god looked back at all. Now hundreds of miles away, Grimra's plan would be revealed to think. This was a setup. That is not immortal. That was Lucifer. He's back. I need to tell the devil now. I get to the castle. I can return to Sector 5. We're still the Emperor there. I can heal. I will not die here like this. But letting off a huge sigh, almost bored, Vegito soon remove his hands from his folded position and say,
You worked hard on this one.
"Well,
You can
like
tell.
you said, Grimra,
Drawings are a little weird.
all good things do
These
eventually
episodes so
come
fast.
to an end.
Uh,
Enjoy
Can't
your
be
final
free.
step."
He puts out one of these every week.
Is now surrounded by an overflowing red aura and pressure shooting up from his feet as if about to launch a rocket. The games would not have burned the demon before. In a literal flash, the god killer would be gone, shot into the sky with such a speed, not even the panels of the manga itself would be able to catch a glimpse.
No, I'm gonna watch this later. Let's get to what my channel is really about. Okay. What? I know where to go. Today. These are all things I wanted to watch.
26, 20 comment.
as he would nonchalantly crack his knuckle, responding,
Hi, everyone, here and around the world. Thanks so much for your energy and support. We're about to break through 260,000 subscribers and climbing. Please keep reaching out in the chat and comment with your first military experiences and your abduction high strangeness with other intelligences. There's a lot going on, including confusing messages from the Pentagon. January 26, 2024, UK Daily Mail, quote, "What are they trying to tell us?" Internal Pentagon report by the Office of Inspector General warns that America is unequipped to defend itself from an alien invasion. A newly declassified document found that the Department of Defense, DoD, lacks comprehensive or coordinated effort to track and analyze UAPs. DoD efforts to identify and understand UAPs has been irregular because of competing priorities, lack of substantive progress, and inconclusive findings, close quote. 3 days later, on January 30th, 2024, came this Hill headline, quote, "What has happened to the Pentagon's former U.S. counter?" Close quote. We're talking about John Kirkpatrick, who never really hunted UFOs. Instead, back in July 2022, after he was named director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as ARROW, Kirkpatrick began criticizing those who talked about UFOs interacting with Earth, as if he was deliberately muddying waters about the extraterrestrial source of UAP UFOs. The Hill's news report ended on a question that all of us wanting truth are asking, quote, "Why would a former Pentagon official continue a long tradition of obfuscation and distortion about the enduring mystery of UFOs?" Close quote. As recently as December 13th, 2023, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, was warning that, quote, "Multiple credible sources allege that elements of the U.S. government have illegally withheld UFO-related information from Congress," close quote. Senator Schumer's concern makes sense when authentic documents such as this Psalm 101 manual, printed in April 1954, have been leaked since the 1990s. The whole title is, quote, "Psalm 101 Majestic 12 Group Special Operations Manual, Extraterrestrial Entities and Technology Recovery and Disposal, Top Secret Magic Eyes Only," close quote. The Majestic 12 Group, printed in April 1954, with the U.S. War Office stamp that was still used in the 1950s. Longtime and now retired McDonnell Douglas aerospace physicist Bob Wood, PhD, and his son Ryan Wood, CEO of Electric Fusion Systems, Inc. in Broomfield, Colorado, reproduced the Psalm 101 manual from 35mm Tri-X black and white film that a whistleblower leaked in 1994 to Don Berliner, an aviation week and space technology reporter in Washington, D.C. And then, 4 years later, in 1998, Bob and Ryan Wood had brought together 15 secret leaked documents to this black and white bound printing of, quote, "Executive Correspondence, XPD, the Majestic Documents," close quote. This past weekend, I talked to Ryan Wood about the internecine warfare ongoing now between the Pentagon and Congress that echoes Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso wrote about in his very important book, released in 1997, The Day After Roswell. It's on my library shelf, always behind me. Its title is, quote, "Former Pentagon official reveals the U.S. government's shocking UFO cover-up," close quote. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president of the United States from January 20th, 1953 until January 20th, 1961. Colonel Corso was a member of President Eisenhower's National Security Council and former head of the Foreign Technology Desk at the U.S. Army Research and Development Department. UFOs were a big secret then, too. And also very secret were the bloodless, trackless animal mutilations that were first reported in this genuine document, with multiple classified stamps from secret and secret to magic and ultra, and a bottom left stamp,
Oh my
AC file copy,
calm
which
down.
is joint
You too
of
much
staff
right
in the
now.
Pentagon. This leaked document, originally dated
I
July
don't know what to do.
22nd, 1947, by authority of A.C.
That
of
hurt.
S, which is Assistant Chief of Staff of B2 in the U.S. War Department. At the bottom of the cover page are 1960 dated authority lines for, quote, Lieutenant General John A. Sanford, Director of the NSA, which is the National Security Agency, and approved by Alan Dulles, Director of the CIA. Page 2 is further titled, quote, Top Secret, Ultra, Interplanetary Phenomenon Unit, Intelligence Assessment with file reference number. Paragraph 1, quote, the extraordinary recovery of fallen airborne objects in the state of New Mexico between 4 July to 6 July 1947. Paragraph 2, quote, at 23:32 Mountain Standard Time, which was a half hour before midnight on July 3, 1947, radar stations in East Texas, White Sands Proving Ground, New Mexico, tracked two unidentified aircraft until both dropped off radar. Quote, two crash sites have been located close to the White Sands Proving Ground. Landing Zone 1 was located at a ranch near Corona, approximately 75 miles west of the town of Roswell. Landing Zone 2 was located approximately 20 miles southeast of the town of Socorro at latitude 33, 40, 31 and longitude 106, 28, 29. Osara Peak being the geographic reference point. Quote. The added landing zone 3 at the bottom of this map is my reporter's notations after a source in my investigations told me that a third UFO came down that same late July 4, 5, 1947 on Mescalero Indian Reservation northeast of Alamogordo and Holloman Air Force Base. Now, a recent discussion I had about all this with Ryan, now CEO of Electric Fusion Systems, Inc. in Broomfield, Colorado. I've known Ryan and his dad, Bob Wood, since the 1980s. Here we are with Rich Dolan at a UFO conference on January 23rd, 2006, 18 years ago. When we all met in a UFO conference back in 1998, you and your dad had published the Majestic documents. And I remember going through them and getting to these words. But the most disturbing aspect of this investigation was there were other bodies found not far from landing zone 1 that looked as if they had been dissected as you would a frog. It is not known if Army field surgeons performed exploratory surgery on these bodies. Animal parts were reportedly discovered inside the craft at landing zone 2, but this cannot be confirmed the team has reserved judgment on this issue. Our assessment of this investigation rests on two assumptions. One, either this discovery was an elaborate and well-orchestrated hoax, maybe by the Russians, or two, a country, the United States, paid hoax to beings from another planet, close quote. And I'm reading right now from the top of this document that contains those words, quote, top secret, ultra, ULTA, interplanetary phenomenon unit summary, intelligence assessment with a file number. This is going back to July 1947.
The concept is so stunning and arresting that the first thing we tried to do, and then many subsequent trips to the National Archive and other research for the last 25 plus years or so, many things have come out in different ways. The first page, which says by authority AC of S2, Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence, and the initials are SAC, which stands for Steve A. Chamberlain. So not signed by Chamberlain, but then when you look it up, sure enough, that's the name of the guy. There's lots of other subtleties in there, the types of time stamps that were used. It's a 12-hour time stamp, it's a 24-hour time stamp. Did that really occur then? The warning block, it says this document has been reclassified as intelligence material affecting national security, has been upgraded to above top secret with a need to know basis. Only those authorized persons with magic access may have access. Downgrading schedule to commence only with approved presidential executive order and approval of the U.S. Majestic Intelligence and Security Command. So most people think the president can declassify anything. This document way back here in 1947 clearly seems to be some law and procedure that it takes more than just the president to say declassified, that you have to have approved and it's appropriate to be declassified. So that's the first cover page. And then the thing that caught my attention in this document was around the autopsy of the aliens. It says point 11, as to the bodies recovered from LZ2, it appears that none of the 5 crew members survived entry into our atmosphere due to the unknown causes. Dr. Dietlich Frank asked to assist in the autopsy of one well-preserved cadaver to be done by Major Charles E. Ray, Medical Corps. So when I saw Charles E. Ray, I said, well, who's this guy? And it turns out, yes, he was at the University of Minnesota. He was working with Leslie Gross in the Manhattan Project. He was clearly plugged in the right way. But then I did further investigation and found his daughter, who lived in Seattle, and called her up and talked to her. So she didn't directly admit that, yeah, my dad told me about this. Her response to my question, do you think your father could have autopsied an alien? She was unhesitant, saying, yes, absolutely.
This is in the context of number 1 of the top secret ultra document. Quote, this is about the extraordinary recovery of fallen airborne objects in the state of New Mexico between July 4th to July 6th, 1947, and that would definitely be the Mac Brazel incident between Corona and Roswell. And that means that they're dealing with a craft and bodies right from the very beginning.
Absolutely. And it also goes on to talk about one landing zone in the Brazel area, but a second one located approximately 20 miles southeast of the town of Socorro. And when you plug those latitudes and longitudes to the historical maps from 1947, you discover that this is about 800 meters southeast of the Trinity atomic bomb burst.
And the document says from what descriptions the team was able to learn and from photographs taken by intelligence photographers, the occupants appear in most respects human with some anatomical differences in the head, eyes, hands, and feet. They have a slight build, about 5 feet tall, with grayish pink skin color. They have no hair on their bodies and clothed with a tight-fitting flight suit that appears to be fireproof, for some of the bodies look as if they had been burned on head and hands. It is believed that there were male and female genders present, but was hard to distinguish. Today, as we speak, in February 2024, a long time later than July of 47, it is very clear that when it comes to these smaller gray types, that our government right now distinguishes between those that are biological and those that are AI, and those that are biological and AI cyborgs. And that would explain perhaps why at the beginning in the 40s, when there were these crashes and our government was going out to investigate, that there was a lot of confusion about what they were dealing with. If you add Cape Girardeau 1941 also being a UFO coming down in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, clear that when it comes investigators to these smaller gray types, that the bodies that our government back Washington right now distinguishes between those that are biological, there were three, and those that are AI. I've always wondered what it would have been like for Truman and others this is to hear clones, because the next question would be, where are the clone makers?
That's right. The challenge with these documents in 1947, a shock, it's got to be monumental.
Which is how it would have stayed quiet. That we look at it through the chaos of today in the 21st century. And back then, one word from the president or the Joint Chiefs of Staff, anybody those 4 years, keep your mouth shut. We don't know what we're dealing with. They seem to be from outer space. We don't know from where, and we don't know why they're here. Everybody keep their mouth shut. If you jump then to today, what is your personal perspective that we have been living since World War II, about 80 years ago, in classified reality? Everything has been classified when it comes to UFOs, ETs, what they have found, and what they know beyond Earth.
And they're protecting huge secrets in gravity and instantaneous communications. And
is the withholding of information because now aerospace all over the planet wants the extraterrestrial technology, and so it has to keep everything secret so the public won't be shocked, to keep everything secret so we can make another $1 trillion off of X.
I agree, but the question is it really just about maintaining bases on other planets or something like that may in fact exist? So I'm thankful that Grush and the testimony came out, that we finally acknowledged UFO crashes that I worked so hard on in 2005, and my book, Magic Eyes Only, highlights all these around the world crash events.
And more of Ryan Wood's extensive work to open up the truth about UFO phenomena. I want to tell you that I hope all of you have Magic Eyes Only. It's about 74 UFO crashes on Earth between the years 1897 to present day. It was copyrights original of 2005 and updated in 2024. It is available at Amazon.com. And Nick Pope, who worked for the MOD so-called UFO desk in early 1980s, says, quote, that Congress received sworn testimony that the U.S. government is in possession of extraterrestrial spacecraft. This expanded, updated second edition of Magic Eyes Only by Ryan Wood is timely. His meticulous research resulted in the definitive book on alleged UFO crashes. If just one of the 104 cases documented here is definitively proven, our world will change forever. And then I want you to consider the AI ufologist book of questions and answers. And this is a copyright 2023 book also at Amazon.com, and it is the active mind of Ryan Wood, thinking about all of the questions and answers that reporters, people who are not up to speed, might want to take in and start thinking about the answers for themselves. And then this book, An Encyclopedia of Flying Saucers, copyright 2007 and updated recently, is also at Amazon.com with the other two books. And this is a very interesting book that was done with Bob Wood, talking to a man named Vernon Owen, who had been working on an encyclopedia of flying saucers in his work. And I recommend all three. And again, Ian is putting links to these books in the live chat, and also details of the books in the description of tonight's program. And I personally feel it's really important that we not lose sight of the links between an alien intelligence on this planet and the subjects that everybody wants to go away, animal mutilations and human abductions to be at the top of the list. If we turn away from them because they make us nervous or they could potentially be dangerous, and all things that we can dream up in our own minds, until we break through to the whole huge we're not alone, and other intelligences have been based on this planet for at least 270 million years, and they're here now and through our solar system and beyond, we need to be able to be educated about all of the details of everything, good and bad and neutral. And so I hope tonight that you will look at this the program tonight as an effort to keep educating, keep educating, but not with the idea that we can't all be educated with new information from the government, from the military, from scientists, from doctors, what we really know, so that we could be updated ourselves. And that in the end, it could be that we'll evolve to a point where we're beginning to understand all of the big story as the need by other life forms or life form for biological tissues and hemoglobin and other chemistries from Earth. It might be a compassion from us to them if we knew the whole truth. So that, dear Ian, I would like to transition to questions and comments.
Hi, Linda. Thank you. That was a great presentation. It's always good to hear Ryan on as well. I can also add that his book, The Magic Eyes Only, is an updated version, and yes, it's including, I think it's now updated to more than 100 crashes. That's what his latest actually updated with even more crashes and retrievals in that book. Yeah. Okay, so in the questions straight off, PCM Donald has sent us a message. He says, wish one could get Truman and admin stuff declassified, including MJ12. What was really in their minds about the ET, etc.? What did you think they were doing, Truman and MJ12, about space and how it fits into the US and world affairs?
Well, let me go to the voice, who is extremely intelligent and experienced in all of this, and I'm talking about Philip J. Corso. Anticipating a question, something like that, I copied page 180 and page 181 from the day after Roswell, Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso. And here are his own words. Reading, he told me, so many documents about animal mutilations, abductions, all sorts of various interactions they were linking to, we'll call it the alien presence. And as I read these couple of paragraphs, keep in mind that he was of a high access to all kinds of information in the Eisenhower administration in his work. So this is Philip J. Corso writing in his quote, in the Pentagon from 1961 to 1963, I reviewed field reports from local and state police agencies about the discoveries of dead cattle whose carcasses looked as though they had been systematically mutilated, and reports from people who claimed to have been affected by aliens experimented upon. Local police visited and talked with veterinarians, were called to the scene to examine the dead cattle left in fields, and they often found evidence, not just that the animal's blood had been thoroughly taken, but that entire organs were removed with such surgical skill. Where there was evidence of crime, someone that might have been doing it as a human, there was no such evidence. And we, humans, had no medical instruments that even remotely approached what the aliens could do. It was as though some device had simply excised the organs with techniques that even went beyond our own precision. And I can say that one of those organs that left many, many, many people stunned over the last 80, 90 years was to open the animal, no excision in the chest, no excision in the abdomen, open up to do a necropsy in the field, often with a veterinarian who was with either a deputy or a sheriff. And they would find, I'm not saying that there were hundreds of cases, but there were enough of what I'm going to describe to be a true anomaly associated with the alien presence of UFOs and animal mutilations and human abductions. And that was, the veterinarian would open up the chest and they would find missing organs completely gone, excised perfectly. No fluid, no liquid, no hemoglobin, just dry internal abdomen, chest. And the one that I had the most astonishment, both veterinarians and law enforcement, was when they opened up the chest and how a grown cow heart is 9 by 12 by 7, something like that big. And there'd be no heart, no blood, no fluid, empty jugular where it came out, and the pericardium, that one case that I've told you about in Colorado, that Sheriff Tex Graves was there and watched the veterinarian who motioned to him to see what he thought was impossible, that the pericardium that surrounds the heart was collapsed in the chest. But there was no blood, no fluid, even in the pericardium that had to have surrounded the healthy animal before. And this is why, long ago, animal mutilations were the separating evidentiary cases that sheriffs and veterinarians and deputies and medical doctors and chemists who were brought in on some of these investigations, even if secretly, they knew. They had no explanation whatsoever for how you would remove perfectly whole organs from inside a body when there's no surgical incision to get to where the organs were taken, and no blood and no fluid in the inside. I've had to deal for 45 years with the questions that come to me about how can you report about these animal situations because they scare people. Traffic deaths every day, falling off bridges every day, car crashes all the time. Humans are being killed in a variety of ways. Animals every day,